Hey John here. So we got this Toro with a Kohler engine. I think it's a 27 horsepower, one of those fuel injected deals, and we're going to have to change the stator on this because this fellow's battery is not charging. And we're checked a few things out. It's not the voltage regulator. It's not the battery itself. There's getting no power to the stator, or no power is produced by the stator, which I already checked. A little dark in there, but so we're going to have to take this engine out and replace the stator, so I thought it'd take you along just to see how easy it is. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more difficult on a horizontal shaft because we have to get to this flywheel, and of course it's buried behind this frame member here. I mean, you can't get the pulley off the front of this without lifting up the, you can't see it in there, I'd have to get a light, but there's a pulley here. You can't get it off because it's damn near touching the frame. So we're going to have to take this out and jack it up a little bit, just get it up high enough so we could take off the cover and get the flywheel out of there and see what caused this problem. A lot of times the magnets fall off the flywheel and damage the stator, but I don't know what's going on here. We'll have to take a look. So I guess the first order of business here is get yourself a pry bar or something and put some tension on this spring here. Go to the other side here, like so, and then see how it gets the belt tension off. Get that belt off. Let's see, I'll probably have to take and get this belt off here, which you probably can't see because it's dark in there, and maybe this little linkage to the clutch, and then just 4 bolts underneath, and this should just lift up high enough where we can get that off. So let me get this pulley off and stuff. Let me get this camera set up. Alright, so we're underneath in the back here. This one's on a spring. We gotta get this belt off. So this one's on a spring. So it's gonna be enough just by pulling this one and getting around a pulley. That's how I do it. I just kind of start it and get, watch your fingers, you don't pinch them, but just kind of rotate it right off the pulley. Then it'll drop. Then we can take it off the top of the clutch. I have to move up there. Alright, so once you get that belt off and loosey-goosey, there's a 13, where is it? Try to feel. There's a 13 millimeter bolt here that it's just a it's a rod that connects to your frame, and then it goes up that holds your clutch in place. But it needs to be free-falling because we got to lift this engine up, and this is bolted to the frame. So, like I said, take 13, get that off of there, let it dangle. It's out. I'll just take this bolt out. And there's a, where'd it go? There's a bushing, bolt, bushing, washer, and a nut. So, like I said, all this is doing is bolting to the frame, and we'll put that on later. And then this thing will dangle for it, you know, to hold your clutch in place. So now we can take and loosen the 4 bolts for the engine. I'll have to get under there and show you where they're at. There's one bolt there. There's another one there for it looks like a 16, maybe 15. I'll have to get a wrench. But there's a nut, and the bolts are underneath. Same thing with the other side. I think the other side they probably use a ground strap. Yeah, I have to get a light. Hold on a second. Alright, so 4 bolts are out. So your nut is on top, and that's where they live. You can just get your hand in there and hold the nut. You got to crack it from underneath with a, you know, I got an extension on here and a couple of wobblers because you have to get around this one pulley. You'll see. But that's where the 2 bolts live on this side. The other side, they're way easier to get to because there's no wiring harness. So this is the problem side, and right here, let me see if I can show you. those are the, that's the problem child right there. This, that fella right there is behind the spring. So you can get your wrench up in there, not your wrench, your socket, but you have to go like in between this pulley, like so, and then you know, get it up in there that way, crack it loose. Same thing with that guy there. You can get to that from the other side. I'm just showing you, just in case your mower's all muddy and cruddy under there and you can't see the bolts. That's where they would be. And then you can get your socket up in there and crack that. And the other two are you're over there in plain sight, and there's nothing really in the way in there, and you can fit your hand easily enough over there. I'll show you. So that's the 4 bolts. And now this thing should be able to come out. See this side over here? You can access them bolts pretty easy. So as I'm looking around here, everything looks like you just got to make sure, like this cable has enough play, because we're just going to jack it up enough to get the front cover off. And you got to watch your wires over here. Make sure you know, your wiring harness has got enough play in them. Otherwise, you're going to have to take some other stuff off. So I'm not going to take the starter or nothing off, and I'm going to leave the harness. Hopefully, there's enough room here, but we'll keep an eye on it. So let me get it up on the chain fall and see if we can lift this out of here. So just look around and make sure you ain't got nothing else impeding. This should come straight up and out, just probably a foot is all I need, and I'll probably end up tilting it back a little bit, whatever I need, we'll see. So these engines do come with an engine you know, hook on point there. So there's one on this side and there's one on the back side here. I'll take the this top piece off. Look, this is Kawasaki. It's the wrong part. I'll take that piece off just because I don't want to snap the snorkel, but I think I'll be clear then. And then we'll start seeing if we can lift this out of here just high enough. So if you don't have a chain fall or come along or something to do this with, I guess maybe a couple of buddies, I don't know, but then you're going to have to take more stuff off. I want to leave as much possible as on here as I can, and hopefully I don't have to take nothing off. So it's coming out of here pretty good. So that's basically all I'm going to need there, because I could tilt it up from there. Yeah, I got plenty of room. There's nothing binding. Speedo cable's fine. Starter wires, the battery wires. You gotta just make sure nothing is tugging along, man. Well, that's still loose. I am just gonna take that bolt there. That way I can go up a little further. This goes to your computer. Maybe just cutting that strip tie probably do the trick. Everything seems kind of loose still, but I will just take that bolt off. It's right there, and I think I'll be golden. Yeah, so that did the trick. Just undoing that bolt. Now the harness is, I got this thing jacked way out of there, so I'll also had to take this. There's a bolt right there, this fella, for the fuel line, because it was a little too tight there. Jacked it up a little. Now we can get to everything. We can get the cover off of this, no problem. What else? So all we did was just the 4 bolts, the 2 belts, and what that clutch thing was hooked to, and it hooks to the frame right there. You know, this, where'd it go? This guy here. That's where that guy lives, in case you were wondering. And then it just bolts into here. Alright, so let's get the cover off. Just go around. We don't have to mess with those. Just go around and get, see if we can get all these bolts off. 1, 2, you know the drill. Oh, this oil cooler, it's got to come off. It looks like a Phillips there, and that should just dangle. Maybe there's a Phillips on the inside. Yeah, 2 Phillips, and that should just dangle. What else? Just go around and look for all the bolts that are holding this cover on, and that'll be that. I think we should be golden. Well, it looks like, I don't know if these coils can stay on there and we could just unplug them. It looks like they're probably just bolted right under the cover. I don't know, we'll see. Houston, we have a problem. These two bolts that the engine hoist, or the bracket, it looks like they got to come out in order to get this off the cover, the front cover. So I'm gonna have to put a board or something underneath, or a jack stand or something to support this engine. It's flat bottom on the engine, so we'll figure something out. Problem solved. So I can take that off now. I might just take these two bolts off, get the cover off, put this back on, leave it on there because it's just sitting on two jack stands. Like I said, the engine is flat, so whatever you got, bricks, boards, support it. I think I could just leave it there. I think we can still get to everything, if I'm not mistaken. It got shifted a little bit to the left here, but I'll probably just take these off, get that cover off, put it back on, because looks like I need to shift it up to the right there a little bit. But all right, so we got most of the cover loose, and I took them 4 bolts on that screen here, loosen them up. So then the next move is loosen these 2 set screws up. There's one here and there's one underneath, and we're going to give this a little tug here, see if this will come off of there. Let's just see. No. Alright, so this is coming off of here pretty easy. There it goes. Let's keep that orientated right, because we're going to put it right back on where the dirt ring goes to. So don't mess that up. Now we can get these, I gotta move this camera a little bit. Let's see if we can get this screen off. What's next? See if this thing will come off, yeah? I've got it kind of sitting on this. Everything hooked up? Oh yeah. Spark plugs. Take off your spark plug boots. There's there we have it. Fan's fine. So everything is accessible now. We're going to take these 4 bolts off. I think they might be 10. They are. I don't know if this ratchet wrench is going to do it, but yeah, I gotta hold the engine, or I'll get an impact, and we'll zap these off. This is just the stem that comes off, and then we'll pull this flywheel. If you don't have any of these tools, like a jaw puller or anything like that, most automotive places will rent them for free. Let them take, just well, you know how it works. My magnet tray. Uh-oh. It should just fall off of there. Get some of this crap out of the way. 13 it is. Alright. Would be nice if it just came off of there. So I'll go get a puller and we'll pull that off there and see what she looks like. Hold on a second. Alright, let's see if this will pop off. So far so good. Nothing's really giving me a problem. Oh, you dumb. Bigger torque wrench, I guess. Bingo. What's his name? Oh. Well, so far we did not unhook any of the engine, so when I get this new stator installed, where'd my Allen go? I can literally start this thing as is right here. Probably kick right over. Ain't no spark plugs in it, but yeah, I'll start it while it's out just to make sure we have no problems. First we got to find out what the hell happened to the other stator, why it's bad. It's probably just a winding open circuit or something, but I'm hoping that no magnets let loose on this flywheel, because this engine is electronic fuel injected, and this these teeth are for you know, that's how it's the timing teeth there. They're not the teeth that engages the starter. It's a tone ring, it's called, for your crank sensor, which is right here. So this flywheel is probably going to be a little more money than a flywheel without a tone ring. So hopefully we don't need a flywheel. Let's look at this thing, see what we got. Oh, it's going to be heavy, probably. You're shitting me. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What are we caught on? Nothing. Doesn't look like it's caught on the starter. Gotta be a little careful because this thing's just sitting up. There it goes. I have a feeling there's something's impeding, like a magnet is falling, and it's jammed in there somehow. This should just come right off of there. Yeah, so I moved the sensor a little bit. The starter doesn't really have to move. I can see it'll clear, but clearly something is grabbing this thing and not allowing it to come out. Oh, there it goes. Oh, the magnets don't look... The magnets look okay. Here's your stator. Yeah, from here, I don't know if you can see what I'm looking at. Yeah, that, I don't know what the hell that was caught on. Seemed like it was caught on something. Well, everything seems to be intact with the magnets. So that's good. Yeah, so behind this right side, it's a piece of metal there. I think it's just a couple bolts. There's the wire that sneaks behind it, and we'll have to take that off. And then it's just a matter of unbolting that stator, and we'll slap a new one on. Well, let's see if we can get this puppy out of here. Well, I'm glad we don't need a... This guy's going to save a little money on this. I don't know how much these cost, but because of that tone ring, it's going to be obviously more. But should be just the two bolts. No, maybe there's one up in here. I think there's one on the back side too. Right, because I can see it coming through. Oh! Hey, thing's still plugged in. Well, at least we know the wire going to the battery. It's good. The two leads over here are from your stator, and then this center one plugs in, which I probably just blew the fuse, plugs into your, you know, into this harness in the center, and then when the stator's going, when it's working, it's sending voltage back to your battery. Well, that's the wire. Might have just blew a fuse, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, well, like I said, at least I know that wire is good going back to the battery wherever it goes to get the juice. Well, we might be able to sneak that on by. That was a 10 millimeter. This is an 8. Oh, that engine's rocking a little bit. I gotta have a chainsaw still, so. Alright. Let's go see if we can find out what happened to this booger. Well, fellas, this is a bad stator. Where's my leads? So I got it on ohms, right? And you just touch the 2 leads. And that should be, it'd be like touching your 2 leads. Oh, it just zeroes out. I don't know if you can see that display, but so it's an open. And looking close, I can see, I don't know if you can see, green crusty there. It looks like an open, like the wire is just broken in 2. Green crusty, green crusty. So that's what I think is going on. It's got an open somewhere. Bunch of green crusties right here. Yeah, if you scrape them, half that wire's missing. So that's what's going on. I don't know how that happens, but there's a bunch of them over here. Yeah, look at that. I don't know if you can see that. I'd have to zoom in, but I'm just scooping out green crusties, and there's pieces of wire missing. So it isn't a complete circuit. I do have another stator here, a good one, a known good one off a. This is off a Kohler too, but it's a 15 horse. It's not going to work. But you see here, touch the leads and they zero out. Infinity, right? So this is a good one. It'll bolt up, this one, but it's a lot thicker, the one on a 27. So we're gonna have to get another stator. Even a little guy like this, I don't know what this is off. It's probably a Briggs or something. This is known good too. Well, actually, there's a diode here. This diode's gonna, you can't touch the leads there. You'd have to do it down here. It's not gonna allow, you know how a diode works. One way in, only one way in. Yeah, see, this is a good one too. Unfortunately, I don't have one that'll fit this machine, so he's gonna have to fork over probably 80-90 bucks for this booger. And I'll show him the broken wires, but again, I don't, how they get green crusties under there, I don't know, but that's what happened. So that's all I got. I don't have the part, so I'm going to have to wait for it, so I'm going to end the video here. It's putting this back together is just obviously the reverse process. It took me about a half hour. If I didn't have to move the camera and stuff, it would have taken about a half hour to take this apart. Let me go show you briefly what I did. So I elected to just jack the engine up. I got it sitting on this plate on some jack stands, also on my hoist, but that way I can just do it here without unhooking anything, the fuel lines or the throttle cable or anything. Like I said, I could start this engine right now. It'll run fine, but if you don't have the ways and means to do this, then you have to pull the whole engine out. You're going to have to disconnect things like your battery, your starter, going to your starter, your fuel, your throttle cable. There's a few more things you got to do. And the wiring harness, it should be just one major clip in there. So basically the harness. Of course, you might have an air cooled. This is electric, not air cooled. You might have this is a fuel injected. If you don't have fuel injected, just a basic model, you're not going to have all this wiring mess. You're going to have just basic wiring to your starter and to your, on the other side for your, you might even have a oil cooler, so you might get away with it being easier for you, but that's it. That's all I got. I mean, I'm just going to put this back together once the stator's on, slap everything back together, sink this engine, and gotta be on his way. It's a lot easier to do on a vertical engine, on a vertical shaft engine. These horizontal shafts, where they sit, you're screwed. You can't just take the front cover off. On a vertical one, like a regular lawnmower tractor, that cover comes right off. That cover where all the mice hide? You take it off every year anyway. It'd be real easy to do on that. probably just a, quick fix on that, but this is a little more involved. So anyways, that's all I got. So thanks for watching. See you next time.